The sirens over Tel Aviv did not stop for 11 minutes. 11 minutes of screaming alerts across one of the most densely populated cities on Earth. 11 minutes of families rushing into shelters, of air defense batteries spinning to life, of radar operators watching a single blip on their screens move faster and lower than anything their systems had been designed to stop. That blip was the Hajj Qasem, Iran's most advanced ballistic missile. And tonight, it reached Israeli soil. This was not a warning shot. This was not a symbolic gesture designed to appease hardliners back in Tehran. This was a carefully calculated precision strike against the heart of the Middle East's most powerful military state. And it has just detonated consequences that will reshape global energy markets, Western defense commitments, and the future of Iranian power in ways that no analyst fully predicted. Because when a missile lands in Tel Aviv, it is not just buildings that shake. It is oil prices. It is bond markets. It is the entire architecture of deterrence that the Western world has spent 80 years building in this region. This is where geopolitics meets money. And tonight, the bill just came due. To understand the full weight of what just happened, you need to understand what the Hajj Qasem missile actually is, because most Western media is already framing this wrong. The Hajj Qasem is not a crude rocket. It is not a Grad, not a Katyusha, not the kind of unguided artillery that Hamas has been lobbing over the border fence for years. This is a precision-guided, solid-fuel ballistic missile that was engineered from the ground up with a single strategic purpose: to defeat Israel's three-layer air defense architecture, the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and the Arrow 3 system simultaneously. Named after IRGC Quds Force Commander Qasem Soleimani, assassinated in a U.S. drone strike at Baghdad International Airport in January 2020, this weapon was built as both a legacy and a promise. Tehran wanted the world to know that Soleimani's death would be answered in steel and fire. Tonight, they made good on that promise. The specifications of this missile are what make it genuinely dangerous. The Hajj Qasem carries an estimated warhead of between 500 and 750 kilograms of high explosive, sufficient to collapse a reinforced structure or level an entire city block. It has a confirmed operational range of 1,400 kilometers, meaning it can be launched from hardened facilities deep inside Iranian territory and still reach any city in Israel without the launcher ever moving close to a border. That is strategic depth in its most lethal form. But what truly separates the Hajj Qasem from everything Iran has fired before is its flight profile. This missile flies what military engineers call a depressed trajectory, lower, flatter, and dramatically faster than a conventional ballistic arc. While a standard ballistic missile climbs high into the atmosphere before descending, giving radar networks precious minutes to acquire and track it, the Hajj Qasem stays low and accelerates hard. The intercept window, the narrow slice of time in which a defense system can lock, fire, and destroy an incoming warhead, collapses from several minutes to under 90 seconds. 90 seconds to stop a missile carrying 3/4 of a ton of explosive traveling at over Mach 8. Iran did not build this capability overnight. The Hajj Qasem represents more than a decade of reverse engineering, incorporating propulsion concepts derived from North Korean BM-25 Musudan technology, structural design elements borrowed from Chinese solid fuel systems, and an indigenous terminal guidance package that integrates inertial navigation with GPS correction in the final phase of flight. The result is a circular error probability, the military's measure of targeting accuracy, of under 30 meters. In plain terms, this missile can be aimed at a specific building. And tonight, it was. But here's the intelligence reality that Iran catastrophically miscalculated. Israel had been studying this missile for 3 years. Deep inside Unit 8200, the Israeli Defense Forces Legendary Signals Intelligence Directorate, widely regarded as one of the most capable electronic surveillance organizations on the planet, a dedicated analytical team had been tracking every Hajj Qasem test launch conducted since 2021, every propellant shipment logged, every transporter erector launcher movement across western Iran mapped and filed, every telemetry signal from Iranian test flights intercepted, decoded, and uploaded into the Arrow 3 system's engagement library. They knew its radar cross-section at every altitude. They knew the precise moment its guidance system activates in terminal phase. They had modeled its depressed trajectory against every intercept geometry in the Arrow 3 engagement envelope. When the launch was detected by the U.S. Defense Support Program Early Warning Satellite Network at 02:14 local time, a plume of superheated exhaust visible from orbit within seconds of ignition, Israel had approximately 11 minutes to respond. Arrow 3 fired first. 2 exoatmospheric interceptors, designed to destroy incoming warheads above the atmosphere where debris poses minimal risk to populated areas below. Both missed. The Hajj Qasem's trajectory had done exactly what it was designed to do. It had stayed below the optimal engagement altitude and forced the Arrow 3 into a degraded firing solution. David's Sling fired next. 4 interceptors launched in the final 90 seconds of the missile's flight. 1 connected. The warhead detonated at low altitude over the southern outskirts of Tel Aviv. The blast was real. The casualties were real. But the full payload never reached the ground intact. Israel's layered defense had partially held. What followed was not partial. Within 40 minutes of impact, the Israeli Air Force had already launched the first wave of a carefully pre-planned retaliatory operation that military planners in Jerusalem had clearly spent months preparing, because no military improvises this quickly. F-35I Adir stealth fighters, Israel's most advanced combat platform, featuring an Israeli-specific avionics suite and electronic warfare package that even the U.S. version does not carry, crossed into Iranian airspace using flight corridors pre-coordinated with U.S. Central Command in Qatar. Their targets were not chosen in the heat of the moment. Israeli intelligence had pre-designated 47 specific aim points across 3 Iranian provinces: the Imam Ali missile base in Kermanshah, the Parchin military-industrial complex east of Tehran, and the network of underground launch facilities buried beneath the Zagros mountain range believed to house the remainder of Iran's operational Hajj Qasem inventory. Each F-35I carried a pair of Rampage supersonic air-launched ballistic missiles, an Israeli-developed weapon with a range exceeding 250 kilometers, a Mach 2 terminal velocity, and a hardened penetrating warhead optimized for underground targets. Iranian air defense radar operators had less than 90 seconds of warning before impact. By 0430 local time, the Imam Ali base was burning. Satellite imagery released 6 hours later showed 3 of its 4 main launch preparation facilities destroyed. The 4th had taken a near miss that rendered it non-operational. Phase 1 was complete. Iran's forward-deployed Hajj Qasem infrastructure had been halved in a single night, but for Israel, destroying the missiles was never the complete mission. Because behind every Hajj Qasem launch order is a man, and Israeli intelligence had been watching that man for 72 hours. Brigadier General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force and the individual personally responsible for Iran's entire ballistic missile program, had relocated 3 days prior to a hardened command bunker beneath the Parchin complex. Israeli signals intelligence had intercepted his communications. They knew exactly which tunnel network he was using. They knew the depth of the reinforced ceiling above him. At 0352 local time, a GBU-28 hard target penetrator, a 2,268-kilogram laser-guided bunker-busting bomb delivered by an F-15I Ram, penetrated an estimated 27 meters of reinforced concrete before detonating. The IRGC Aerospace Force lost its commander, its entire operational planning cell, and its primary hardened communications hub in a single coordinated strike. The man who spent a decade building the Hajj Qasem program did not survive the night it was first used in anger. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz addressed the nation 6 hours later. His statement was deliberately brief. 3 words, translated from Hebrew: "The account is settled." And this is where geopolitics meets money in the most direct way possible. Within 18 hours of the Tel Aviv strike, Brent crude had surged $22 per barrel in overnight trading, the single largest one-day oil price movement since the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Strait of Hormuz shipping traffic dropped 63%. Liquefied natural gas futures spiked 31% in Asian markets before European exchanges even opened. Lloyd's of London suspended war risk insurance coverage for vessels transiting the Persian Gulf entirely. The global economy had not been asked whether it was ready for this. It was not. On the diplomatic front, U.S. Central Command confirmed it had provided real-time satellite surveillance and targeting coordination support throughout Israel's retaliatory operation. The clearest signal yet that Washington considers any Iranian ballistic strike on Israel a direct challenge to American strategic commitments in the region. The UK, France, Germany, and Italy issued a joint condemnation of the Iranian strike within 8 hours. HMS Diamond, the Royal Navy's most capable air defense destroyer, already positioned in the eastern Mediterranean, moved to combat readiness stations. Inside Tehran, the leadership had expected a contained exchange. What it received instead was the systematic destruction of a weapons program built over 12 years, and the public confirmation that Israeli intelligence had penetrated its most sensitive military operations at the deepest level. Iran's foreign ministry issued a statement calling the Israeli strikes an act of war. They have not fired again. But here at Geopolitics Meets Money, we ask the question that the defense ministries won't answer publicly. Iran still has missiles. Its production infrastructure was damaged, not eliminated. The Hajj Qasem program spanned at least 3 separate hardened facility networks across Iran, and tonight's strikes confirmed the location and destruction of one. The other 2 remain operational, which means the real question is not whether Iran can rebuild. It can. The question is what this strike has done to the one thing no missile can replace: the confidence of the Iranian leadership that their most prized strategic weapon can actually be used without triggering their own destruction. Because tonight, Israel proved something far more dangerous to Tehran than any explosion. It proved that Unit 8200 knows where Iran's generals sleep. And inside the IRGC, that knowledge is now spreading a silence more destabilizing than any missile strike. So here is what we want to know from you. Has Iran just been deterred for a generation? Or has the regime in Tehran just been handed the justification it needed to escalate beyond anything this region has ever seen? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want the full breakdown of exactly how the Arrow 3 exo-atmospheric intercept system works, and what design changes Iran will now make to defeat it, that analysis is coming in the next video. This is Geopolitics Meets Money. Stay sharp.